and everything.
Yeah. Those
are right.
Okay. Yeah. No. Oh, there we go. We're live.
Yay!
Okay, good.
We're live
on
everything
YouTube,
now.
so if you can't hear us here, when in doubt, just go to YouTube because we do have it there. And actually, I'll give us all of our social media platforms in case you haven't followed us there. But welcome, first off, welcome to 180 podcast or live stream on the other ones here. I think we're going to be talking about a couple of current events that's happening, and then we're going to get into a little bit of a conversation, and then we'll just get into it. But first off, if you haven't followed us on Instagram, so everybody else that isn't on there, that go to 180.shift. Twitter and TikTok is at 180shift. YouTube is Shift 180, and our Facebook is Tara, letter N, Ellie, and then as well we have our website, which is 180shift.org. And for those of you on YouTube, we are live streaming for the first time on Instagram and TikTok. So
Yay.
That's a new thing that we're doing. We're just doing it on phones, and it's very last minute. So I don't know if we're 100% prepared for this, but we do have some comments, but I cannot see.
It's okay. I will get them for you. I will see them.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, do you
I
have
can
people there?
see that. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and on Instagram, if you could pull that up too, that'll be great.
Exactly. Okay. So, all right, we're
We're multitasking, guys.
Yes,
this
there's
is
a
great.
lot of multitasking. happening right now.
But I know, I guess before we get into it, I guess, Halloween's coming up. You got any plans, Tara?
Yes, I'm going to spend some time with my kids, and they're both dressing up, so I'm very excited. We got Baby Yoda and Princess Elsa.
That is really nice. I would love to be Baby Yoda. I think we did for one of my siblings.
Yeah.
I am doing nothing, I think. I want to invite some of my friends over, but I don't think they like me very much. It's okay. No, they love me. It's just like they don't do. They're too cool sometimes.
They're a little bit too cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, when is the correct age to stop doing stuff for Halloween? Because then in college you do a whole other thing, like, you know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so somebody asked, what do you guys talk about? Well, let's jump into that. Let's bring up some
get
current
at some
events.
current events right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful
Okay.
question.
So, I guess we could jump into what's been happening with, let's see. There's a lot happening with, I guess, the people who are involved with the case that's been charged surrounding Trump's candidacy and, well, actually last election, so the 2020 election, there were some people charged with some stuff. Quite a few, actually a lot of lawyers.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that one?
Yeah, and a lot, that one lawyer who pleaded guilty. And
Right.
now-
We now have 4 lawyers that actually have pleaded guilty with plea deals. So one of them is actually Jenna Ellis, which I've actually met her before.
Yeah.
But she pleaded guilty to, what was it? It's guilty to felony false statements and writings in connection to the Trump campaign in 2020 election.
Oh, okay. You know, it's
Yeah.
funny. Somebody just commented, "Stop the conversation there. I am sure you don't have full comprehension." Well, isn't that the point? I mean, young
honestly,
people, yeah.
That's very funny. That's something really interesting to bring up. I mean, sure, maybe we don't have full comprehension of like what's going on and anything.
Who
but
does?
like, honestly, I think that we're just both 2 Gen Z kids, basically. I mean, young adults, trying to figure things out, but also start a conversation so we're able to learn things more.
Yeah, exactly.
So why would we stop? Why would we stop there when we want to like expand our knowledge and things, learn, and be able to experience like new ideas and be able to like and also challenge our own thoughts and point of views, because I'm pretty sure we're not right on 100% of things, and that's okay.
And I
right?
know most people, I mean, I gotta tell you, I did not care at all about politics as a young adult or, a high schooler until I had kids. But now that I have kids, I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone needs to be talking about this. Even if you don't understand it, just try and do that. If you have a value set, everyone has a value set. You should stand up for that. And you live in a country, if you live in America, you live in a country where your voice matters. It does matter, and your vote matters,
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to discuss it. And that's why we're here. We want to try and find the right solution. So comment your thoughts to this.
Oh, what's that one right there? Yeah, okay. So it's pretty interesting, people bring that up, and I absolutely love talking about different things and just want to bring more awareness to my own like generation and like have them actually think that these things are important because our life is short, believe it or not, and we do need to learn about different things and care about the future. But what was that?
Absolutely, yeah. Another nice comment said, "I love the way you guys go to events and share videos that interest me." Well, thank you.
Yeah, we try to stay interesting to a lot of people to to just different people out there. I mean, obviously, we sometimes jump from topic to topic because, current events and different things interest us as well. But, let us know if you ever have something that's really interesting to you because we would love to jump on it and, chat about it a little bit. But
and let us know if there's an event that's local to us in the LA area.
LA area is really great, yeah.
That you think we should go to. And we'd love to come interview people in high schools, colleges. We really just want to get this conversation bigger. So what's another current event?
Well, actually, I just wanted to continue on that little, thing because there's a reason why I brought it up, and reason is because there was actually a lot of people who fundraised for her. She raised over $216,000.
There's some mad people right now.
There's some people that are upset, and that's what I brought it up. Now, not to say I support what she did or not, but it's to bring up the fact that people are upset at the decision she made, and some people are feeling a little bit like backstabbed almost.
Yeah.
And it actually raises the question. So, she actually had a statement come out. So, as an attorney who is a Christian, right, I take my responsibilities as a lawyer very seriously, and I endeavor to be a person of sound moral and ethical character in all of my dealings, right?
Yeah.
And I think as Christians, both of us being Christians, we do want to make the best moral, ethical decision. And sometimes I think, there's a lot of things happening, and sometimes we make mistakes. And, it's really just, it's a tricky world out there, I think.
Well, I mean, we can only do our best, you know. It's so funny. I just looked at a comment. It says, "Do you both love going to the shooting range? What are your favorite guns to shoot?"
Okay. You've never been to a shooting range, have you?
I
have.
Break my wrist if I tried.
You know what? I went once. I shot a rifle. And it was really fun. I really do like that. I recommend anybody who hasn't done it. Obviously, it was really cool because this is just a really random sidetrack, I guess we can go on. But, I mean, we have enough time. So,
exactly. I guess. I don't know.
I actually did go to the shooting range, and that was really fun. This was actually right before COVID, too, I think. I think it was right before COVID. So, this was a few years ago, but I remember I was really scared. I was like, I didn't know what to expect because it was my first time going. No experience in shooting, but I was like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it was really, really cool though, because we went through a whole entire safety briefing beforehand because you have to make sure, you properly hold the rifle correctly. You got to make sure you don't kill anybody or injure anybody, right? You don't want to do that by accident. But I mean,
how many people die at a shooting range?
I don't know if many do. I don't know the statistics on that, but I think that's pretty something interesting that we could find out. But
Yeah. All right. Next current event.
Let's talk about this.
And go. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my goodness, Tara. I guess we could take a sort of spin towards the conservative side of things of current events going on, because actually this one's more not even just conservative, but just Speaker of the House right now. Okay. Have you been hearing about the Speaker of the House?
Nope.
Okay, there's a lot of stuff happening. Obviously we chatted about this last week.
I'm talking about Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy got ousted, remember? He is no longer Speaker of the House.
Yeah, but he's endorsing someone else now, right?
Right. Well, they were endorsing different people, right? We had Jim Jordan go in, but he went through, I don't remember how many votes or rounds of votes, but they did have some, and he did not get Speaker of the House. He did not secure that seat. Yeah. Just recently, another guy named, Tom Emmers, so he secured the nomination for the GOP, so the Republicans, but it was out of the 5th round, so they had to do 5 rounds of voting, actually, so he could actually secure that nomination, but he doesn't have the backing, so he's dropped out of the race as well.
Oh, okay.
So we're going nowhere with this, to be honest. You know what?
Well, that's discouraging.
Honestly, with everything that's going around within the world, like happening, different wars, I mean, we have our own stuff going on here in the United States right now. I just feel like everybody's wasting their time.
Oh, I don't know.
Like,
Facts
Speaker of the House, like, that's true, right? But I feel like we're wasting all our time doing the Speaker of the House, which is a very important position, I believe, right?
Yeah,
that is a pretty important position. But the fact that we have to do it right now and nobody can agree on anything, and it's just like, okay, well, can we just move on to actually making some more progress on something that is really, really important right now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the thing of it is that me and you are really new to politics, but like when you talk to your like parents or grandparents about it, it's like this is nothing new. This is the world of politics, It
is.
It's like it's a world where nothing gets done and too much gets done.
That's true. Nothing ever gets done in politics sometimes. Like there's like always dead ends and people always fighting about different things. I think that's something that we've learned definitely through going different conventions and things like that is lots of times things don't get done and it's just a lot of infighting within people.
Yeah, well, that's how this country was built. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but the way things get done is really slow, but that was intentional. Like, if you look at how everything works, like, and I know this from the Federalist Papers, that was done intentionally so that the little voices don't get so easily discouraged and voted out, I mean, there's some issues that there is no right decision. Like, I used to say this in one of my humane letters classes is, okay, there's a fire, right? On one side of the fire is a farm, and the fire is burning the crops. So the farm owner says that fire needs to be put out. And on the other side of the fire, there is a family who is freezing cold because they have no shelter, and they're going to die if they don't get warm from this fire. So do we put the fire out? So that's a lot of what American politics is that fire. Do we put the fire out? I don't know. There's people on both sides. What should we do about it? And that's why a lot of things get slowed, in the legal process. They get slowed down. And if you look at the things that get quickly passed, it's because everybody agreed on it. If you look at the amendment to slavery, it was like after the whole country agreed that was morally wrong to do that to another human being, it very quickly spread throughout the nation, no more slavery, So it's actually very interesting. It's like our worst thing and also like something that's...
Yeah, I think a lot of things are a double-edged sword often in politics.
Yeah.
There's always two sides to the story. And that's something that we continue to learn about, especially since you said, I mean, we are kind of newbies, I guess. Like, we're not, like, we've been in this place. I mean, we're very young, right?
Yeah.
We haven't, like, people have been in politics as old as we've been alive.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. I know. Kind of, that actually brings up another thing. So, Mitch McConnell, which we all know about him, right? He had there's a lot of people that were having a lot of health issues all at once, I felt like, in politics, I guess, but he had what was it, 2 freeze-ups? I don't know what you call it.
I think it's called a stroke.
Right. Yeah. I think it was a stroke.
I mean, I'm only laughing because it's like, why is this man being pushed so hard? Like, it's not funny that this is happening to him, but it's like, guys, this is getting ridiculous.
Well, he said he's fully recovered. Did you hear that? He said he's fully recovered now. He's okay.
And did he confirm that it was a stroke?
I don't know who confirmed what. You know what? Yeah. I actually don't know what happened with medically, but the reason is like a lot of these people, again, bring up the point, they've been in office longer than we've been alive.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's why younger people need to jump on the political wave. I know it seems boring. It seems like a headache. It seems like a bunch of people fighting, but it's important.
Can't we change that? I feel like if we're not gonna oust everybody that's over a certain age, because they're still gonna be around and they're probably gonna still continue to do what they want to do in politics. But it's I feel like if we had a lot of people who are younger, right? Yeah. Who are younger come in and be able to change things within the political arena, we would have so much more better stuff. I feel like. Yeah. I mean, we also have some people, right? Gen Z isn't the most hardworking. I feel like. I mean, that's what it's
Is the most hardworking?
No, not the most hardworking.
Yeah. I was gonna say
because half the time we see videos of Gen Z complaining, even millennials. I feel like about doing work.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I get it. Work is hard.
Work
but
is
at
hard.
some point, you just gotta roll up your
But
sleeves and do it.
you know what? I feel like there is some shining bright, I guess, stars you could say that are coming out.
Yeah.
They're coming out. You know, there's people on both sides of the political aisle who really believe that this is something that's important.
I think what really makes me cringe is when I see young people be given opportunities that are like insanely good, and then they just don't take it because they're like have some, you know, like half excuse, you know, that's just like, come on, you didn't take that opportunity because of that. Like, you're so young, you have the means right now, you know. Like, a lot of people, it's like, you don't have kids, like, you could have definitely tried to take advantage of that. Like, you're gonna thank yourself 20 years down the line. But, you know, a lot of people are struggling right now, and it's like, that is no joke. Like, you have to take your opportunities seriously. You have to take work seriously, you know? But a lot of people, they don't understand. I don't know many 20-year-olds who understand what money is. You know what I mean? I just don't. Like, it's weird. Like, I mean, seriously, if you feel like you know what money is, like, tell me. And, like, because all I see as money is a tool. Money is a tool. You know what I mean? It's not gonna, like, fix all your problems. It's not gonna, like, make you a horrible person. It's a tool, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm totally digressing right now. What's another current event?
That's good. Let's see. Let's see. We could talk. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff, like, kind of, like, bringing up the fact that everybody's, like fighting, and there's a lot of infighting or people disagreeing within politics. Another thing is, like, we still have Israel going on and Palestine.
Yes.
And then we also have other wars going on.
I know.
Which continue to surprise me, I guess, every single day.
I think I saw my favorite comment, which is somebody said on one of the videos, you know, I repost the videos sometimes, and somebody commented, why are people choosing sides like this is the Super Bowl? And I was like, oh my
yeah, so that's an interesting point. Well, I mean, I feel like Super Bowl is, like, it's not even that important, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, who cares about what's happening in the Super Bowl? Watch, there's gonna be some sports fans coming out after us, but it's like, who cares about what's gonna go on? Because those people, I mean, obviously, I think that sports can often bring people together if you're on the same team and have different, like, viewing opinions about outside of it, but even then, like, it's not going to change anything.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's like people siding against each other and starting a war among themselves in the United States. How does that stop the tragedy that's going, you know? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like all this stuff is slowed, you know, the legal process is slowed. We're just going to keep fighting. And, you know, you have, like, all these, I won't even get into it because it's so, you know, you say one thing and then you suddenly side with a certain side. No. And it's like, no.
Something that's very interesting in, like, I guess this whole entire war that's going on with Palestine and Israel, or actually Hamas in Israel, right, is very interesting because, like, people, you say one thing and then now all of a sudden you, like, have one half of the population that absolutely hates you and thinks that you're crazy, and then the other half who thinks the exact same thing if you side with the other.
Yeah.
So it's, like, a very tricky topic, but all I have to say about that is that, you know, there are people that are dying on both sides, and those are innocent lives that are being put at risk and that are suffering right now, and we're just putting that aside for, like...
Yeah, like, are the kids really involved in this, like, you know, decades-long war that's been happening between Israel and Palestine?
It's really unfortunate that the kids are having to grow up there and just be surrounded by that. For me, that's the most hardest. Like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
you know,
awful.
you're a mother.
Oh my gosh, I can't even watch the really graphic videos. And I'm just like, I can't take this.
And then I'm
painful.
also the oldest of, like, 5 children, and in that way I'm a very, like, I'm an older figure to my siblings. Yeah. And so, you know, I have siblings ranging from, like, just 2 years younger than me, and then all the way to, like, 13 years younger.
Yeah.
And so I have siblings who are younger than me, and there's...
So like, you remember babies.
You know, yeah. And so, like, it's really sad to see that, and, you know, to see other people, even people I've seen comment and say, well, it's okay for these people to be suffering because one side is, like, mad at the other, and it's just like, what do you mean that it's okay for those children to be suffering? And they said, well, because it justifies because the other kids are suffering. No, that's not okay because both sides are suffering. It's really sad, you know?
Yeah, I know. You know, as just...
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Speaking of just a huge political issue that has hit everyone's dashboard, you know, in regards to the war that's happening right now, we wanted to talk about what are the top 10 biggest social issues for Gen Z. And I just Googled it, and I wanted to read some of
Okay, well, actually...
and get everyone's input on it.
Yeah, because, I mean, obviously, it's only somebody's list, so it's
Yeah.
obviously not going to be 100% like what somebody says they think.
Yeah.
And obviously, you can't speak for a whole entire generation, I think, that people are obviously going to range what they
obviously.
think is more important.
Yeah.
But let's see what this website has to say.
It is a .org, though, so
Yeah.
I'm sure they
Okay,
had some reasonable resources that they had. The first is healthcare. What do you
Okay.
think about that?
Healthcare. No, that's actually a very big issue. I don't know if this couples like if it goes together with like the abortion and like free healthcare and different things. I feel like that's a really broad issue, healthcare just in general, and I think that is a very on point thing. I think it's a pretty high one on the list.
That's so funny.
Say.
I do not like going to the doctor. I do not like thinking about it. I mean, I know that but I'm still on my parents' insurance. And right here it says that this is mainly a core issue for older Gen Z people who are just now getting off of their parents' insurance.
You see, for us, I think that I'm obviously going to still be under my parents' insurance because I'm still 17, until my birthday, which is in a couple months.
No,
but
you can stay on until you're 26.
I know, you can stay on. And you know what? I think that raises a whole entire different issue that we could go past is children are being children for way too long.
Yeah. Oh, that's facts.
That's a whole entire different issue. But I think that's a very interesting thing, For older Gen Z, what's the oldest Gen Z, I guess? You could say 26 now?
26
okay,
maybe.
well, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah.
So, they're starting to face that. Yeah, healthcare is not something I've thought about. And I guess someone would be like, well, then you're ignorant. Well, it's like, yeah, I guess so, because I've had 2 children. I've never had to think about healthcare. I've always just been on my parents. Or, whatever comes with the
But, like,
state.
everybody, I know that a lot of people I've always heard, at least from some of the videos that I hear from like college students, is like free healthcare is really something big. And I know that there's like free healthcare like in other different countries. And, a lot of people say that there's a lot of good things to it, and there's a lot of people that say there's bad things to it.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's probably very good because free doesn't mean that it's free.
Yeah, that's the thing. Free never means
free. Free never means free. It always comes from somewhere, and that's just logically, this is what is, like, when I think about it, it's not even something that I have to think about. It's like, free? Okay, well, who's really paying for it is what I ask.
Well, the scary part, too, is, like, at what point will the government ask for the money back? If it's free, it's like, okay, this law could change. Could they ask for it back?
Well, they could be asking it from different people, like different taxpayers or just different places. Like, where are they sourcing the free from?
Well, I've seen that happen with food stamps. I've seen, like, people get money from food stamps, and then 6 months later, they're like, oh, you need to pay that back. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, now they're on a payment plan, So it's like, wait, I wouldn't have bought all that stuff if I didn't have the food stamp. Okay, well, the third issue is mental health. The second issue.
Okay, no, that's actually, I would say that is a very big issue for Gen Z.
I feel like, why is that not number one?
I would think it is high up still, but, like, mental health is a really big thing for Gen Z because of the fact that you always see, let's be honest here,
how many people are mentally ill?
If you've been on Instagram, TikTok for however long, you've obviously seen a video of somebody breaking down and crying. And that's something that I've, personally for me, I wouldn't do that. That's not something that I ever like to do. I don't even like to cry in front of people. Yeah. So, like, just go in front of a car. It's really interesting, but it kind of showcases, like, how mental illness is a very big thing for, just Gen Z in general and this whole entire population. I think that we can always go into like the, I guess, theories of was it worse than for COVID? Obviously, I would say yes, it was.
I think COVID hit Gen Z the hardest, hands down.
Right.
The hardest.
Like, think about it. You're at the stage of, like, a lot of us were teenagers, new teenagers, and we're struggling with just trying to make friends, and then you all of a sudden, like, cut off friendships sometimes.
No friends. Only screens.
It's only screens, Yeah, exactly. I'm sure that does something to your, like, mental health and not being able to... I know that there's different things. Right.
Reality.
And you know what? Hugging is a really big thing, too. Did you know, like, for your brain, if you hug for a certain amount of, like, seconds or minutes, it helps release good, like...
That sounds like a pickup line.
No.
Hugging is good for you. No, that would make sense though. It says here, 35% of Gen Zers surveyed reported that their mental health has worsened during the pandemic.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
So yeah, I thought it would be higher. I knew people who literally committed suicide, who had to deal with the pandemic. And awful, awful, awful. Like, that is why mental health, I feel like, should be number one.
Yeah, honestly, it's just a really big issue overall. And I think that we're the most, like, broken generation that has just a lot of, like, I wouldn't say trauma. I think trauma's tossed around a lot.
Yeah.
And it's, like, become, like, almost nothing at this point because
Yeah.
people just use it for everything. But it's a generation that's coupled with a lot of anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
Anxiety,
I have anxiety.
because of the fact, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And it's because of the fact that a lot of people don't. We have a lot of, like, a lot of different people in the news or just looking at the world around us. There's not
Yeah.
a lot of hope for, I think, a lot of Gen Z.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely
Right?
like, overstimulation definitely has something to do with it. I mean, we are given so much information every day. Like, it's just like, and that's how do you process all of it, Well, one thing you can do is you can sit down and talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sit down and talk about it. And as a Christian, I think that's something that Gen Z is lacking in is faith or believing in something
Yeah.
that you have a purpose for. I think that's another thing that goes along with the depression and anxiety is, like, do we have anything off of this world or anything that we have to live for?
Yeah.
Right, and I think a lot of people find that in politics. I've seen people find that in politics, actually, which is very interesting. And then standing for a cause is another thing. But sometimes these causes don't go the way you want it to, so it's like not a very reliable thing to have your hope in, or like just, you know what I mean, right?
No,
Putting
yeah,
your hope in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why at some point you have to find something that you genuinely love to do. You know what I mean? Like, I have stuff, like, I think for me, filmmaking is the thing that when I just get into it, it's like I leave planet Earth, It's like, it literally, like, I'm not here anymore.
A lot of people have those escapes. Like, for me, I would say that's music for me. Music does that for me all the time. Anytime you put a music, whether it's sad or happy, somewhere in between, it's always, for me, produces something that's happy.
Yeah.
And, like,
takes you out of
it
this
just
world.
takes me out of this world. And I think about
Yeah.
little things, and then writing is something, right? Because I love
Yeah.
writing, and then listening to music, making
that's
stories.
awesome.
That's what I love to do.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Speaking of stories, if you think about it politically, we're given stories all the time in
Yes.
politics. And if you notice, every side of the political spectrum has, like, a story with a hero and a victim,
Yeah.
And that's how these sides form. That's why it's impossible to, I'll say it feels impossible to, like, change somebody's mind on something, because
It
you're
does.
battling with their stories, and their stories underlie their fundamental truths,
I mean, I think that's something that I think we should delve into a little bit in the future, because people's stories, like,
They matter.
shape who the person is,
Yeah.
why they think the way they do.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't get mad if somebody has a different opinion than me, because I know that they went through life differently than I did. Sorry. And then they went through life differently than me, and then they had different experiences that shaped how they view the world around them.
Yeah.
And, and a lot of that, obviously some people have more tragic stories, and then just different things that you have compassion on them. And then you also think, okay, so this is why they probably think like this. I think this goes more back to psychology kind of sort of stuff. But I think that's something that I want to delve into in the future, I think would be a good idea.
Oh,
because,
how often do you change someone's mind by just, like, saying you're wrong,
Right,
It's
no.
like, no, you're battling with their internal story.
Right, and that's why I think that it's better to have a very conversation, kind of like what we're trying to do ourselves, is having
Exactly.
conversations with people, because we want to find out who you are and why you think the way they do, think the way you do.
Yeah.
And I think that makes the world interesting, I don't know.
Absolutely.
I think that makes it interesting.
Number 4, we have economic security. Economic security matters to Gen Z. They want to have stable, well-paying jobs and to avoid crippling debt. I love how they threw the word crippling.
No, no. I mean, we could say the whole entire United States is going through. Actually, can you check on Instagram
Exactly.
who did that? But
That's so true.
I think that the whole entire United States is struggling with that. If how the way the economy was going before didn't matter to you, now it is now, right?
Yeah.
Like now,
it's
now
getting bad.
you're finally realizing it, because now the upper middle class is starting to really feel those effects of what's going on right now.
Actually, we just got a comment on it. It says, middle class is under attack. ACA 13 on the ballot in 2024. This will bypass Prop 13. Generations will not be able to afford the home after having to be
Right. Okay.
reprisal after-
So
Rephrasal?
That's
Or
right.
maybe appraised,
I know about that
reappraised.
one. So actually, if you haven't seen our videos they're on social media. They should be on all social media platforms now. But I went to the what was it? The taxpayers? No, wait, no. It was Apartment Owners Association convention, and there I was able to learn a little bit more about Prop 13.
Yeah.
Which we did. Excuse me. So, we did like a video there with some people who were talking about this because this is a really big thing.
Yeah.
Prop 13
stuff,
does right. So if you have a house and
Okay.
your parent dies, or they decide to pass it on to the next generation, their
Yeah,
kids,
that's
grandchildren,
pretty normal, right?
right? That's pretty normal stuff, right? You would think so. But now, what it would do if is it ACA 13?
Yes.
Would actually make the house basically once it's passed down, they would have to reevaluate it and have to like pay I'm not sure what
Like
is it
the difference?
pay the difference from what it was like then and then pay it.
So like
now.
the government gets involved in that.
The government gets involved and says, "Hey, actually your property you're gonna pay taxes." Like it's basically
worth
changes
more,
your taxes. So saying, it's worth more now, so now you have to pay it as if it was built today or you bought it today instead of what it was back.
You know how many times I've been told, like, oh my gosh, I had this house and wherever, and I sold it for $300,000.
Right, yeah.
And I looked it up on Zillow last week, and it's worth $1.2 million.
Right. No. Yeah. So those things that's actually what would happen, and it's really sucky for like families who want to be able to pass down property, and we're not even talking about wealthy people, just people who just are just wanting to pass it down to their regular middle class people who want to pass it down to their children. But if the housing crisis, like the housing sphere is not like their children can't buy a house, but then they die and they're like, okay, well, you know what? My child needs that home. That child won't even be able to afford it. And then along with the fact that their parent just died, it's like, this is great,
Talking about trauma. Follow-up comment. Prop 13 protects this, and the government is taking this ability away. This affects Gen Z.
Right.
Absolutely does affect Gen Z.
It does affect Gen Z because, let's see, any parents that want to pass down their house to Gen Z. But not only that, Gen Z, I don't think a lot of Gen Zers are owning a house right now, and you may think, okay, well then that's something that I can just overlook right now because I'm not going to buy a house. But the thing is that even if you're going to rent, it's going to affect you because of the fact that if you're renting from like a family or even a bigger business that has multiple properties, if that property is passed down to the child and that child now owns those properties, they're gonna have to raise the rent on you because they can't afford to pay it.
Yeah.
So they're gonna make it the renters pay for it and to make up for that.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
it's fascinating too because we just coming out of COVID, we just had the whole renter block thing, like I know a guy who owns 8 different apartments, like complexes in LA, and he was saying that he has had to like sell a few of them because of the renters, remember the renters forgiveness
right. So
thing?
the renters forgiveness thing, obviously we want to have compassion for the people who are renting and who can't afford another place, but it's like, what about those people who own the property? This goes back to the same thing that we were talking about earlier, to the fact that there's always a double-edged sword to a lot of things in politics, and you have two people or two different sides who are going to be affected either way. And it's like, is there a way to be able to mitigate that, and hopefully both sides are going to be okay, or is it one side's going to be better and the other side's just going to be left.
Yeah. Someone said to me, you can tell the economy is really bad when even like the millionaires are like struggling month to month.
It's like how can millionaires be struggling is the question. And this affects a lot of the younger, not even the younger, like just like lower class people. And actually talking about that, there's a lot of issues with like, Yeah, but I think we can just jump into like the next
Number
thing.
5, civic engagement. I was sitting here trying to figure out what that even means.
Okay, what is it? Read on a little bit.
It says members of Gen Z are passionate about advocating for social change.
Okay.
About 70% of Gen Zers believe that the government should be more active in addressing problems. So basically, all right, Gen Zers are also comfortable driving change. Yeah, we noticed.
No, yeah, Gen Z. That's a very interesting thing because that seems like really weird to have on the top list.
Yeah, it's
I
like
feel
number
like
5. Come on.
why don't you just like put the actual individual issues? But anyways,
Yeah, they're trying to
no, yeah, sure.
We know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
though.
we know what they're talking about. Yeah, Gen Z. I mean, you're out there. We all know that we
whoa.
liked what we do. Okay.
Then
yeah.
look what it brings up.
What
It
is it?
says, some examples to date. Members of Gen Z organized marches nationwide after a gunman killed 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School
Yeah, okay.
in Parkland, Florida. So,
Yeah.
okay, this is talking about, like, activism, and a 23-year-old who blogged about her right to education kicked off a feminist movement in the Middle East en route to winning a Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, yes.
What?
So
What
I know
is
about
that
that
about?
one. So that one, yeah. So there's a lot of education, like women's rights in like the Middle East is something that's very big, and that's something that I very much stand for. Because I mean that takes a lot of research. I mean the Middle East is always so confusing for me. It's such a confusing topic. I mean, like who knows what's going on in the Middle
Yeah,
East?
I
I
mean,
don't. I'm
people in the
sorry.
Middle East know.
I will be I'll be the first person to say that I am very humbled by this, and I do not know a single thing about there. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like always so confusing half
And
the
we
time.
hear stuff, but it's always like,
All I do know is that women's rights are being like
Challenged.
just challenged to the fact that women don't have the rights that we do here in America, and we do need to stand up for other women across the sea, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Across the ocean, across the water, the pond. I don't know, something.
Okay, 6.
But
racial equity.
racial equity. Okay, equity is a very interesting word because we started off with equality, now we're at equity.
Equity, yeah. I mean, I used to say it like this when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I used to say, well, you got a pit bull and a Pomeranian in a cage together, and they're both trying to, like, look out a window. And the Pomeranian's gonna need something to stand on in order to just see out the window, and that's what I used to define equity as.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a very interesting definition of equity. I think that's a pretty good, I guess, definition of it. But like, it's right. So it's basically saying everybody needs a level playing field to start off on, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of the equal opportunity that everybody has, right?
Yeah.
Because those are two different things, right? Having equal opportunity so everybody is able to be free to go on forward, or everybody must start from this level
Yeah.
playing field.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that's something that I think is interesting and very unfair, but it's like just so
well,
crazy.
who had a really interesting perspective on it?
Who?
Was this woman I worked for.
Okay.
I just did like editing. Like it was a total just gig, that
Yeah.
I got along the way. But her name is Yomni Park, and she talked about how, they really had a vision for equity in North Korea,
Okay.
And then like she's talking about like her grandparents, like possibly her great grandparents
Okay.
back in the day, And she was talking about how basically they had a vision for equity and equality, right? They said everyone needs the equal I mean, not opportunity, but equal playing field.
Yes.
Everybody needs to start from the
Okay.
same level. So then what they did was they said, well, they went into a more communist approach, and everyone was so excited about the dream of equity that they sold their land to the government. So now the government owns everybody's land. And then the government became so powerful that they bought up anyone's land who disagreed. But by then the numbers were so low because everyone was so passionate about equity and this new goal that they had. Well, next thing you know, they got North Korea,
Right.
and basically it's true. Everyone there is on the same playing field.
It's true, and everybody's dirt poor.
Underneath the cattle.
Right.
Literally. Like
Seriously.
they're because every decision has been made for them, they never get a say anymore.
So they basically got what they wanted, but it's like at what cost, right? Now you're all of
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think as people we're very good at pointing out problems, but right now, I mean, you look at the solutions people get, and it's like, what? What? Like, I don't, so yes, it is a problem. People get started on different areas of life. Some people are 18 and they get a Coogan account unlocked because, they were child actors. So they get millions when they're 18. And some people are homeless at 18,
Right, yeah.
The world is unfair,
That's something that I think that is we stopped sort of saying is like the world is unfair, and we hear that from a lot of like I think we as children hear that a lot. I say as children, we're younger on end of
Yeah.
things, but like children, you hear it often, the world's not fair, but then now you have people telling you, now we're having the younger children, now this new generation of young children now being told like, oh, it's okay if you didn't get this. Like, everybody gets one, right?
Yeah.
Like the sticker whole entire mentality, like everybody gets a sticker, everybody gets this. And it
but
kind
at
of
what
like
cost?
It kind of removed the thing that, you know, you're not going to always get what you wanted. And now we have people who feel like they're entitled to get what they wanted.
Yeah.
What they want. And when they don't, they get upset about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like, racism is wrong. Sexism is wrong. But how do we solve it, Because if you look at a lot of the ways that people are pushing to solve it, it's like, well, that's actually creating several new problems, you know?
And I think we can always debate on what's the right issue is, but it's like, it's just like reopening more wounds, I think.
You're going to love number 7.
Oh, what's number 7?
Environment.
Oh my goodness.
The threat of climate change is another catastrophe impacting the lives of Gen Z.
I have a few things to say about that, to be honest.
Yes.
Because, okay, so that's actually one thing that actually connects with mental health, I feel like, for Gen Z, is the fact that you see people get worked up a lot about the environment, and then we get whole entire people who get so upset, ruining people's businesses, ruining this and that, because they think that the world's going to end, and maybe we're the stupid ones, and the world is going to end. Yeah. But it's the fact that everybody is so worked up about it, and now they're crying, and then, people don't have that hope anymore, so I think that's how it ties into, like, the mental health sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
it is very trying on your mental health when you've been told since you were, like,
since you were small.
Since you were like 4 years old, that the world is coming to a halt, and you're showed pictures of like the turtles and the icebergs.
Very interestingly is like for the school that I went to, and for everybody who doesn't know where we are at, we're in Los Angeles, and I went to school in San Fernando Valley that for a couple of years that focused, it was a magnet school, and it focused on like STEM, right? So like environment in different things, and we always try to like help the environment. We had always projects that were related to that, and I remember that was something that's very big, that was pushed. So I remember going to the movie theaters. One of our actual field trips was going to the movie theaters and watching a video about like climate change and how it was affecting bears and things like that. So that's something that was very ingrained in me at a young age. And like fossil fuels, is this a bad thing or a good thing? I remember having to write like a small paper on that. Yeah. But
not the bears.
I know, not the bears. But the thing is that a lot of the new things that people are trying to talk about that is supposedly good for the environment, like solar panels, wind turbines, these things are actually not good for the environment, right? As much as I would love to make sure that our nature is preserved and that we keep this planet a beautiful earth, those solutions like wind turbines, solar panels, electric cars are actually not good for them at all. And it's defeating the purpose that we're all trying to get to.
I was going to say Teslas, yeah.
Right, no. And those batteries on like Teslas are terrible. Like, nobody knows what to do with those batteries. Nobody knows what to do with the batteries for the solar panels when they're done. And even to make solar panels here in California, they had to move endangered like tortoises, I believe, or something like that. And they had to move them, and then those became even more endangered because they were getting like killed because they had to move them.
Yeah, but that doesn't fit the agenda.
Yeah, but they had to make room for the solar panels. Yeah. That's just the logic there doesn't add up for me. And also like wind turbines also take up way too much space, and they're unreliable in a lot of ways. But not even that. It's like the fact that they kill birds and like endangered bats. Yeah. And they cause harm. I know some of them are in like the ocean too, and like whales, and like if you're really trying to help the environment, why are we killing animals? Why are we killing animals at the expense to make the environment a better place?
I think the biggest headache that I've had with the whole climate change issue is like, okay, you want to help the climate? Well, stop driving gas cars. And I'm like, that doesn't do anything. But as like a average, I'm like, I can't afford that. Why don't you make it more affordable? Oh, you can't because they're too expensive to make. They're a luxury car,
That's actually a really good point, because I always say like, oh yeah, just get an electric car. I'm sorry, I can't afford one.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh my gosh. And then you have AOC who's like whipping a Tesla, and she's like, I'm a good person because I drive a Tesla. And it's like, so I'm a bad person because I can't afford one? Well, she loves her Tesla. I know
she loves her Tesla. Okay.
She loves her Tesla.
One thing that I do want to get into, I've done a couple of videos way back when we first started this sort of movement organization thing. Yeah. Is talking about how nuclear is actually better than what's going on over here. So it's, it's pretty interesting, I think. And I recommend everybody to search up what nuclear is, and it gets a lot of hate, and it shouldn't, I think.
We went through that list, and I just, that was just one list. I'm looking at another one now. But what I noticed, too, is that it seems like these lists are trying to, like, get adults and, like, parents to, like, understand what their kids are talking about. But it's like, well, yeah, but I mean, I don't agree.
That's pretty interesting because, like, adults will try to help other adults understand Gen Z because for some reason we're such a
we're under the microscope right now.
Yeah.
I mean, not for long, but right now, yeah.
Everybody's trying to figure out what's going on with this generation and how can we, like, understand them. And I get that, but just, like, ask your children at home, I feel like sometimes. Just, like...
Oh, but I don't know. If I've heard some stories of, like, my kid will not talk to me. And, like, I will not talk to my parent, because we disagree on some things and it's just, like, not going to work. It's not going to change.
But it's, like, well, why... I know, but, like, it brews, like... It starts when you're younger, though.
Yeah.
It starts when you're younger, and just creating that environment that children are able to talk about things. I mean, that's something that I really appreciate my mom did, was that no matter what, like, I was always welcome to come to her, and I knew that about every single sort of subject. And I get that other people aren't able to have that, but that's what I'm saying. Creating that environment, that's something that I think as Gen Zers, and once we get to that point, is being able to create that really good, healthy connection with your children and being able to help say, hey, this is a really good environment. And you want to stay safe because it is your home to be able to talk and actually debate about things. And, I did not get, I may agree with my mom more now, but when I was younger, I had sort of different opinions on different things. And I would, like, challenge her, like, I don't think that's right. And then obviously she'd kindly point to me, well, like, you know what, why don't you think about it this way? And then she'd open my eyes to things, but it wasn't something that she shamed me on for having a different opinion. You know?
No, exactly. Well, what would be advice to give to, like, someone your age who struggles with talking to their parent or feels like their parent is too judgmental and not understanding and is driving them crazy?
Sometimes I think, like, you do have those parents who will never understand, and that's very unfortunate, but you do have other people around you who will understand you. Obviously, you want to be careful because who you trust as adults are very important because they can influence you, whether in ways that are good and also bad, right? Hopefully, in an ideal society, you would have your parents, right?
Yeah.
I'm starting to lose my voice again, guys.
Oh, no.
This is great. But, no, it's just, like, being able to be understanding with your parent and just, I get it. Sometimes we think, why can't our parents get this? This is so frustrating. We know things. Obviously, everybody thinks we know things better, right?
Yeah.
But maybe being understanding to your parent and say, well, I mean, they are older than me.
Yeah.
Sometimes older people... Age does not mean wisdom, right?
Yeah.
And just because you've gone through life doesn't mean you're going to gain wisdom, but I think it should be automatic sometimes, if life hit you the correct way, you do grow from that, you learn.
Yeah.
So I think they do have some sort of they have some sense to what they're talking about, right?
Yeah. For me, as a parent, like, I haven't had to, but I deal with, like, political disagreements with my kids yet, but I've had to deal with, like, just regular disagreements, and my approach has always been, like, listen first, because the most miscommunications and most fights and drama and, oh, I'm never going to speak to you again, most of that comes from just a firm, like, miscommunication. Like,
oh my goodness,
you don't understand what the other person is saying, or the person doesn't feel like you understand where they're coming from.
You know what? I have some personal experience in that, like, lately, really just, like, recent too.
Yeah.
And just, like, different relationships with people, like my friends or just really close people that I have in my life. And I've realized, we've come to this point where now we're angry or mad at each other, but in reality, when we actually sat down to talk, it's like, oh wait, no, you had some points, I had some points, but in reality, we were just miscommunicating and not willing to talk about them sooner, rather than addressing them when they were problems, like right when they started, and now you've built up, and now you're at a point.
Unfortunately, I have a lot of past relationships that just ended, and I don't think I'm ever going to talk to them again. And I look back, and I'm just like, man, I wish I would have just given that extra, like, empathy, like,
right.
I was confident that I heard them and I knew what they were saying, but they didn't feel like I was, you know? They didn't feel like I was, so it ended up destroying relationships, like, permanently. And I wish I could go back to my old self and be like, hey, you don't have to burn bridges like this. Like, just try and communicate. And the unfortunate thing is sometimes you still burn bridges.
Yeah, and you know what? That's something that I've literally learned over this past week, and it's something that it's like I don't want those relationships to end, because it's like, you know, those are some people that you really care about and you know, but it's like those miscommunication. This is a whole entire different subject, but I think this is really cool, like, to talk about, because this is something that's a big issue for, I think, everybody. But, you know, even thinking about it from a Christian point of view, and I know that there's people out there that are not Christians, but from us to being Christians, there are verses in the Bible that do talk about being slow to speak and, you know, being able to hear and listen to other people. And there's wisdom in that, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that's, I think, what mends so many relationships. Now, there is one thing that I wanted to talk about that actually a few people brought up right here.
Okay.
And it's about the CEO Act.
Okay.
Yes. So, speaking about something that can, you know, open so many opportunities.
So many opportunities for, like, people like me who, you know, I would, if, you know, I'm now in the process right now of applying for colleges, and, you know, college thing, admissions is a really big thing in my life right this moment, which kind of makes me wonder, I still need to apply for a few more colleges. Yeah. But it's like, it's something that's very big, because for me, as I would be a first-generation college student, that's really, really big.
Yeah.
That is a very big thing, to be a first-generation college student in my family, who actually would graduate. And it's like, that obviously that comes with its own weight, but it's like, you know, what would be easier is if we went back and we had really good things that would help us, right? And now I'm at the point where I'm still in college, right? I mean, still in high school, right? But there's certain things that would help us along the way that would have made it easier. But what's great thing is there's hope for the future if we do get the CEO Act to pass, right?
You know what's
it's an initiative right now.
You know what's so amazing is I was at my church the other day, and as I was walking out, a friend of mine named Penny, she was handing out the phone numbers for the CEO Act. And I was like, yeah, I've heard of the CEO Act. And I was just like so amazed at how much that initiative has grown, that it came all the way down, you know, to where I live. And it was just like, I felt so secure and happy about that, because I was like, wow,
you know,
that people know that this act is amazing. And it's like, you know, like I was saying, it's like, oh my gosh, people hear this, they're like, it's too good to be true. But it's like, it's not. Everything is all in place. And here's the thing, we're not the first state to pursue
this stuff. And it's amazing.
States have actually passed it, and it's worked.
And if you actually are wondering, like, what are they talking about? What is the CEO Act, right? Well, you know what that's great is we do have a couple videos on Instagram. You just have to scroll down, or TikTok, wherever you're looking at. Or you can also go to our YouTube, we have a full podcast episode on the CEO Act with one of the big pushers of it, actually two of them, right? And that was an amazing episode where we delved into, like, what it is, what it means, you know. And basically what it is we do have money for each child per year, around like $17,000, right?
Yeah.
That's for a child for schooling, right? So, like, kids are sent to public school all the time, right? And it's not actually free. It comes from an account that is already there from the child, and they just take from that account and give it to the public schools.
Yeah, depending on where you live, what your district is.
Right, and depending on that. And it's around roughly $17,000. But the thing is that this initiative would, instead of having it for only the higher-ups to have that money, right, public school, you're the parent yourself could decide, hey, I could have never afforded to take my child and put them in a private school, or someone with higher education, so they could pursue really good education and give them better than what you had. You can now take those $17,000, and you would have been able to take that and put it into private school, so it doesn't come out of your pocket and have to worry about it.
Or extracurricular programs, or homeschools that can extend
who can do that
through different programs. It's an amazing act. And this, we always have the phone number.
Yeah, we always have the phone number for it. But you know what's really interesting is that everybody's attacking it. Everybody's attacking it because of the fact that they always say, oh, it's only for rich people. No, it isn't. It's for people like me who wouldn't have been able to in the first place, because private school is so expensive. You know, lower income people who wouldn't have those ability would now have it if this initiative was passed. So keep your eyes out for it, because we're going to need signatures to put it on the ballot. And this is something that I would love to happen.
Yeah, and
you know?
we are going to we are going to have the phone number that you can call on our website and our Instagram page,
right,
so that it's always accessible to you.
And very interestingly is that there's a lot of like people trying to attack it left and right now, you know. And I mean, obviously there's a lot of big backing and support for it, because they see how important it is for young kids and just people to want to achieve more and continue to grow. And I think it would be amazing. And actually, big thing about it, reason why I started put college into it is because if you had money left over from the $17,000, you would be able to use it for college too.
Yeah.
So I mean, imagine that.
I mean,
no,
that's
not a
amazing.
lot of more debt, but you know,
yeah, I feel like the attack is coming from a place of fear and again miscommunication.
Miscommunication.
Speaking of which, I missed one of these comments, but it said when we were talking about how parents talk to their child when disagreements, somebody said seeing things from both pro and cons.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we could think about we could think about things both from pro and
Thank you,
cons
Benny.
here. But like
we just got the flyer right here.
our lovely
yes,
our lovely crew. Our crew. I meant crew, but you know.
Okay, so I'll say the phone number once just here, but yeah, seeing things from both pros and cons is very helpful, and the only thing that I would say stops people from doing that is pride.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm right.
Also,
no matter
another
what.
thing is if people are having worries about like the 17,000, you know, coming out from like. We did talk about nothing is free, right? We mentioned that beforehand when we first started this. And that's right, nothing is free. But this is already money being put aside from taxes already there. It's already there. It's not going to even like raise our taxes or anything. It's already there.
Yeah. So really quickly, the phone number is 323-417-4644. We've said this before, but once you call that phone number, and again, if you didn't catch it that time, it's 323-417-4644. And after you call 323-417-4644, then you will get a text message that has a video that explains what the CEO Act is.
Right.
It is an AI video. It is a little creepy, but just ignore that. Basically, all you do is you've signed
our
up.
video.
Yeah, you can watch our videos too on it. But yeah, after that, then you basically you follow the instructions in the video, and then you've officially signed yourself up to be a part of this initiative, and you've kind of committed your signature, which they will be collecting about 1 million signatures in January.
Right.
And again, like we were told, the governor is pushing back on the CEO Act. So big red flag there. We need to try and just really keep pushing for this.
Because it's like people will try and tell you things. I'm sure the media is going to come after it sooner or later. And it's like, well, you know, why would you be against something that would help the lower income communities to step up and be able to actually do something is absolutely mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
But like another thing that was a little alarming was I know that there were some amendments that they were going to try to make, but a deadline passed, even though they had sent the amendments in weeks prior.
Oh.
And so, like, there's some weird stuff, and they're like, oh, no, we can't change it anymore. So that's another thing.
In regards to the CEO Act?
Yeah.
So it's just some funky stuff happening.
Just some funky stuff happening.
We need to pray about that then, because that's really unfortunate. Because, anyway, we want to just invite Gen Z to be on the podcast. If you're a part of Gen Z right now, please, oh my gosh, reach out to us. 180 is not just me and Ellie. It's Gen Z, and we want more faces.
Yeah, we want
more names.
people to come on here.
We want more stories. So if you believe that you're 21
seconds remaining. Okay.
Oh, 21 seconds remaining? Well, okay, we're going to close then.
Okay.
We're going to start closing because it's 7:56, and I wanted to read 2 more comments. Someone said, GOP old saying, country over party. And the other one is, the only way to change things is vote. Yeah, and join initiatives like this, like Gen Z, and, you know, we want to hear your story. So, yeah, be a part of it. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's so funny.
Talked that one out.
Okay. I think we can start closing it, but thank you so much for joining us, and please come on the podcast. I don't care if you have a different opinion than me. Like I said in the beginning, we love to hear other people's opinions.
Yes.
Figure out why you think that way, and then kind of come to a middle ground, or maybe even just figure out ways to just, you know.
Yeah, maybe just have a good, juicy argument, you know?
Debate. Conversation.
Debate. Did
Conversation.
I not say
Conversation. Yeah. No, yeah. But we love you guys, okay?
Yeah, we love you.
We love everybody. everybody.
You guys so much for tuning in, and we loved your comments tonight. Thank you so much, and join us next week. And if you feel like you have a desire to get your voice in here for one way or another, you have something you believe in and you're a part of Gen Z, reach out to us, become a part of 180 Shift, and visit our website, 180shift.org. And follow us. What are our social media handles?
Right. So social media, Instagram, 180 Shift, TikTok and Twitter, 180 Shift, Instagram's 180.shift.
Too many.
Yeah. Facebook, if you're on there, I'm not, but if that's something you love to do, you can go to Tara, letter N, Ellie.
Yeah.
And then our website, which is 180shift.org. And, of course, visit our YouTube where we have longer versions of our stuff.
Yeah.
And that's Shift 180.
Yes.
Bam.
Yes.
Boom.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all your follows, likes, comments, shares. We really appreciate it. And please do not forget to reach out to us if you want to become a part of this and want to be on our show. You want to be in our videos. You want to start a whole new section of 180. Yeah, just reach out to us. Sorry, I drank too much coffee. Anyway, okay.
Bye.